yes, it is 7:30, so we can get started and hopefully more people will join. I just wanted to come on, obviously, as a doctor of gentle hands, to thank you guys so much for taking your time to come out and speak to us on the topic of anxiety. We went from a culture where people were embarrassed and didn't talk about mental health issues to where we talk about it, but sometimes we talk about it so much that it sometimes it almost seems dismissive to the person who is actually suffering. So it's good that we're not hiding it. Yes, we're talking about it, but then we have to go one more step to let people understand you don't have to live like this. It's good that you don't have to hide, but let's treat it, let's manage it so that you're not, missing a large part of your life because you're having so much anxiety. So I want to thank you guys so much. And I want to thank all of our patients and friends who have joined us and all the people who are going to join us as time goes on. So thank you guys so much. And it's 7:31, so we'll let you guys get started to respect everyone's time.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that
Thank
was a
you.
perfect kickoff.
Thank
I
you.
couldn't agree more. Shayla and I have seen over our 25 years of being in the field, just like Dr. Ashby is describing, so many movements forward to lose the stigma of anxiety. But it's practices like this. Gentle Hands has just an amazing incorporation of the whole person. And when I met the team a few weeks ago, I was impressed because their own awareness as practitioners, that rolls into every patient that they see throughout the day, that it is not just a medical checklist. It is just finding out how each patient is doing, finding out what your other needs are, because sometimes cause and effect, and Shayla and I are going to be talking about that today. That is where we want to see a full well-being, improving overall how you are doing, and it really incorporates mind, body, and then we'll even add in your spirit, that there's your heart and how all of that is connected for you. So that's what we're going to be working on today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are just joining us, you're right on time. If you're watching this recorded, we're going to have this up on the website, findyourtranquility.com/events. So the same page that you were given the link by Gentle Hands to be a part of today live. We understand schedules come up. You may have even wanted to be here live, but we want to make sure that all this good information gets to you recorded. So let me play technology here for a second. I'm going to bounce my screen over to the slides so that we can start for you. All right, is Shayla, everybody able to see that okay?
Yeah.
Did that work? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just want to make sure that that worked. All right, very good, because what happened for me is, oh, here we go. Sorry, one more second here. It is just fussing with me. That's weird. It's not letting me see you guys anymore. Now I can't see you. There we go. Okay. Is it still got my slides? We're good. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, welcome. My name is Catherine Gardner. This is Shayla Parker. We're here to join you from Find Your Tranquility Counseling and Wellness. The topic that we're sharing with you this evening, and we're just going to take 60 minutes of your time, we really hope that it's not just educational, but it's applicable. I want you to be able to leave here immediately being able to see how you can incorporate some of these lifestyle tools right into your life. We want to help you identify what is anxiety. That word is so casually thrown around, as Dr. Ashby started us off. And so we want to give you true education so that you can see it within yourself or even those that you love and be able to be informed. And then that's going to help you to be empowered to say, okay, what are the small things on a daily basis that I could do to improve that? And then we want to share mind and body tools with you so that as we are giving you those mind body tools, you are seeing not just what you can change in your thinking or your psychological well-being, but you can also take a look at what you can do for your physical health and the well-being of the whole person. Yes, yes. All right, so let's get started. Shayla, can you tell us, we are going to jump into, sorry, my screen just jumped again. Is it showing you, my slideshow or is it showing you not? So I'll have to.
I see the slide, your first slide, but I don't see the slides on the sides.
Okay,
On the side.
okay, very good, very good. All right, so now did it move to the second slide? It's being, I don't know why it's being fussy. I do apologize.
I still see the first, I see identifying signs of anxiety and mind-body tools.
Okay, so that's what I have to figure out. How is it, why is it not flipping slides?
So this is a great example of anxiety. And actually, I could jump into a little,
Yes,
you want me to talk about that? This is a little bit of the, oh, never mind. Okay. Yep. Got it.
See, this is so real life, ladies, right? This is exactly what I think. Oh, I've got it all planned out. I'm going to get the kids off to school. It's going to be a super smooth morning. And then somebody comes stomping down the stairs telling me that they can't find something and the world is ending. And I think, well, there goes the day. Yes. All right. So yes, so we would like to do and cover two areas for you today. The first is going to be that we want to pay attention to what exactly are anxiety signs. We're going to break them down from emotional signs, mental signs, physical signs. And then Shayla, what else will we be doing with taking action?
And well, there's also gaining awareness. We're going to be, as your slide there says, we're going to be looking at, how the body communicates to us, some of these signs and signals it gives us, and it's important to listen to them. That's really one of the first, if we're looking at applicable steps, is increasing your awareness. And that's kind of what we're going to be doing today, because when we don't listen, our body seems to talk louder, and that's when symptoms get more uncomfortable. And then, yes, taking action, we'll be doing some mind body tools actually in this session today, and we will and you can have those to take with you. So
yes, we're going to practice two of them right here together. So we are licensed therapists. I'll start with my quick background and then Shayla can introduce herself. So my name is Catherine Gardner. I'm a licensed mental health counselor here in the state of Florida, but I'm originally from Chicago. And so my first license in 2001 was a licensed clinical professional counselor. And I still keep that license because I have had women follow me for my specialty practice in Illinois. I started working with pregnant women in counseling in the year 2010. I had gone through Postpartum Support International's training, and I was already a grief counselor. So the program pulled me in and said, can you work with our women through the grief of infertility, understanding the ups and downs of the 3 trimesters, postpartum, and then I ran our perinatal loss support group at our local hospital in Chicago. And so I was able to kind of bring all of my expertise together 15 years ago. And as it evolved from there, I have just been working with women through their hormonal shifts and changes, now specializing more so in perimenopause and menopause. I still run a 3-week perinatal loss group if anybody's looking for that support. But I want to help women to understand, how did their anxiety and stress management affect their body? I'm a woman in my 40s, my late 40s, and I get it personally, where I have not understood what is going on and what is changing within me. I'm a wife. My husband's a retired Chicago police officer after 27 years. We have 2 kids. They go to the Pasco County schools, and we live in Wesley Chapel. I have loved the area. I have loved getting to know the families of our community. And I wanted to open my counseling practice here as well. So I found an office space on Cross Creek Boulevard, if you know where that is in New Tampa. And I wanted to be able to, I'm here now, and I wanted to be able to do the same thing I was doing in Chicago. Shayla and I actually met in 2002, which seems like a lifetime ago, where we were therapists together. And we have now also incorporated other wellness education into our background. My additional training was to become a certified health coach. I did that during the pandemic. I went back to school and I said, I want to understand well-being for women all throughout. So that's who I am.
Thank you, Kathy. And I'm Shayla Parker. I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor in Illinois. I'm licensed in Illinois. I also provide telehealth in Florida because Florida has generously allowed practitioners from other states to practice telehealth in Florida. So I do practice in Florida. And for 20 years or more, I've specialized in anxiety disorders. And when I lived near Chicago, now I live in the middle of the state. Don't know if anybody knows where the University of Illinois is. I live very close to there, but we lived in the Chicago suburbs, and I worked in anxiety specific hospital programs for 6 years. And people would come from all over the country to these programs, and we specifically treated anxiety. And it's really been a passion of mine. Within the past year here, I've taken a real deep dive into sleep medicine and have been doing something called CBTI, which is cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. And I wanted to do that often because anxiety and sleep issues go hand in hand. And that has been really fascinating and amazing to see the impact that the therapy can have on people's sleep. And then I'm really excited. Okay, this is a topic near and dear to my heart. I did create a protocol. You'll see it on the website. I call it the Mystery Illness Protocol. And basically, I was trying to develop something. We know it's very difficult economic times right now. Sometimes people don't have the funds to go to counseling for extended periods of time, but this is basically like a 7-session protocol where women who are experiencing mystery illness, which basically mystery illness, I would call it that, complex health experiences that don't always come with clear answers, but they definitely deserve compassion and support. And it is close to my heart because I have also personally been walking a mystery illness journey for about 9 years now. And so I really wanted to provide support and a way for women experiencing mystery illness to be heard, and to not be dismissed, and to also see how our mental health and our nervous system can truly impact our health. And so if you want to learn more about that, that is on the website. And in all the work I do, I am very holistic in approach, which I try to focus on emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. So I'm just really honored to be here tonight. So thank you.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you more at the end about how to connect with us, but we're both on social media. If you go to findyourtranquility.com, you go to our team, you can link right to our Facebook or Instagram that Shayla and I are always posting, so that we can give women more tips and suggestions. Our newsletter comes out twice a month. Let's jump right in. We thank you for being here. If you're just joining us, we are talking about identifying signs of anxiety, and then we're going to give you 2 experiences today of mindfulness. As we do those experiences, we're going to give you a whole list of mindful mind-body tools. So let's get us started with the first half. We're going to talk about how to gain awareness of what exactly is anxiety, what is it not, and what causes it. All right, let's jump in. So when I look at the question that comes in so frequently, just among women talking to each other, is, oh, I'm just such a worrier. I've just always been a worrier. I runs in my family. We're just a whole group of worriers. And we try to understand, well, what exactly is anxiety? On a healthy level, the amygdala, the little area in the back of the brain, is actually watching for tigers, right? It's back groomed from the caveman days, helping us, protecting us from a car that swerves in front of us, or a child that was just about to bump their head on the edge of the table. Those moments for us are going to naturally bring up fear, apprehension, worry. Maybe there's a situation that you have to face or uncomfortable conversation you have to have. Ooh, kind of gives you little butterflies in your stomach, right? That's okay. Those are levels where the mind is helping you to actually put the frontal lobe into actually clearer thinking. A little bit of stage anxiety is a good thing. It actually helps the presenter to be more attentive, to be more clear thinking, because you've got those positive chemicals coming in telling you, all right, be on task. But that's not always where the symptoms start and stop, right? For some of us, and you can tell us in the chat, does the anxiety, now it's taking over. It's driving the bus. What just happened, right? I am not in control of this. I put the example here, are you mad at me, right? These are conversations where I'm looking at the person across the room. I'm trying to read their body language. Is he mad at me? Why is he being quiet? Why did he say that? That doesn't make any sense. And we overthink situations. And now we are leading towards an anxiety that is at a level that is toxic or unhealthy to us, body and mind. But that's where I want to give you the example in the separation. A lot of people, they realize when they're anxious from a physical danger, right? I'm fearful of the wild animal hurting me. I know that that is a danger to me. And that's why these chemicals come in and tell me, hey, protect yourself, do these steps correctly. But most of us nowadays, we are fearful of emotional dangers. What do other people think of me? Am I doing good enough? Is this the way it was supposed to turn out? Are others upset with me? Am I going to be able to handle this? So that's the physical danger versus emotional danger. Now, Shayla, how does that then separate from rational versus irrational?
Yeah. And well, I like that, the anxiety part of the brain, a lot of times I feel like it gets, I don't know, villainized, I guess, because it produces some uncomfortable symptoms. But I do like thinking of it as it's our body's alarm system. And so basically, here's how I imagine it. There's a little person up in your head and they're sitting at a desk and there's a banner behind them and they're in the anxiety center and there's a big button on their desk. And that's the alarm, and the banner behind them says, better safe than sorry. And so it's really interesting because as we go about our day, it's watching, it's ready. And sometimes because it says better safe than sorry, it'll say, I'm going to go ahead and push that alarm. And then I'm going to use Kathy. I'll use an example. Then I'm going to watch Kathy. And whatever Kathy does, I'm going to learn, should I have pushed the alarm? Should I not have pushed the alarm? But what's interesting, so it pushes the alarm. And let's give an example here. Sometimes that alarm, sometimes it's helpful. And here's where we get into, is it rational or is it irrational? Sometimes it's helpful and accurate. And sometimes, and that would be the rational, but other times it's irrational. So here's an example of rational anxiety. Maybe I'm nervous about a job interview because I want it to go well. And I feel like that's completely understandable. And basically my brain is helping me to prepare. But now sometimes the alarm is going to go off when there's no real threat. And this is the irrational example. What if I say, oh gosh, if I mess up one word, they're going to think I'm completely incompetent and I will never get hired. Now, this is the mind starting to spin, and it's spinning a story that isn't exactly based in reality. But we all do this. Every human does it. But the tricky part is that both rational and irrational anxiety, they both feel real in the moment. And so basically your brain, it doesn't always pause to ask, is this actually dangerous? It so really all it wants to do is keep you safe. And it really has good intentions. It really, really does. So and here's a little tool for you. So in therapy, one of the things we do, I often ask, is this thought functional? And so does this thought serve a purpose? Does it help me take action? And in the first example, where the person's interviewing, okay, and they're like, gosh, I really hope I do well. Then I say, well, how could that help me? Is it functioning? Well, it may help me prepare some questions. It may help me prepare some answers. Okay, so that seems like it's moving me forward. Or sometimes is the thought dysfunctional. So the thought is it's not serving me. So the thought that I really can't mess up any word or they're not going to hire me. What does that do? It keeps me stuck. It keeps me overwhelmed. And let's think about that for a minute, because if if I cannot mess up one word, holy cow, that is a lot of anxiety. That's a lot of it's just not possible, right? But if I put that expectation on myself. So that's an example of the rational versus the irrational. And basically when we learn to ask these questions, is this really harmful? Is it dangerous? And then, is this thought functional? Is it serving me? Or is it dysfunctional? It's not serving me. And this is when we start to begin to reclaim our peace, because now we can decide to do something different.
I love that. I love that. And I think that's where, individuals are not sure. Well, is this actually an anxiety disorder? Right. And that's what you're tapping into. We'll talk some more about this. But yes, is it just, oh, well, I overthought the interview, and that was one example. But now that piggybacks into the next day and the next scenario and the next relational encounter. And oh no, now I'm getting into a place where I'm looping on things, right? I'm stuck on the old things that happened and future things that are coming up. So good, so good. So let's take a look at, have you ever taken a look in your life? Where do you think your anxiety comes from, right? So if we break down anxiety to be fear, apprehension, and worry, we're going to share three categories that are important to analyze for yourself, because this will really help you to understand what you can control and what you cannot control. So our first area is the biological. And I have this picture of a family of many generations. Now, if you're like me, I come a long line of worriers. It just runs in the family. And we can certainly challenge some of that to be nurture versus nature. Was I born? And so I was just prompted that I'm going to be like the other women in my family who are wringing their hands and, oh, be careful. Oh, is that all right? Oh, are you going to get hurt? Oh, don't do that. Women. Or is it that I was born that way, or that I watched those types of encounters and conversations from a little child, watching and seeing how jumpy the parents around them are, the family members around them, how cautious to overly cautious can they be? And that's that nature versus nurture discussion all the time. Certainly, and we're going to talk about here at your OBGYN's office, you're talking to your provider about what's happening during these hormonal shifts, right? A lot of studies have been done trying to understand progesterone and how an influx in progesterone, which if you're menstruating, then that is at the later end of your cycle. It's about 7 to 10 days before your period begins, right? A lot of us have some PMS, some maybe even you can get as severe as PMDD. But some women will really describe it's not even just anxiety, it gets to full-blown panic, right? Panic is 30 seconds to 30 minutes of an attack of that adrenaline coming into the bloodstream going, oh my gosh, fight, flight, I don't know what's going on. And can really lead even to bouts of just irritability and overly sensitive to sensations and noises and colors and sounds and touch. The kids, they're just climbing on me, everybody get off of me, and we're very irritable. Then first day of your cycle, if you look at a hormone chart, it crashes. It comes way back down on the first day of your cycle, the first day that you get your period. We see this throughout the 3 trimesters of pregnancy. Again, as these hormones, really good for baby, whoo, tough for mom. Certainly if you have a predisposition to have some anxiety, this may come and go, certainly in the first trimester as those hormones are heightened. And then we certainly see after 35 weeks, 32 to 35 weeks of pregnancy and gestation, that again, because there's so much progesterone coming in, that a woman can really describe, boy, I'm so anxious that I'm actually angry. I'm actually irritable. I'm in that fight or flight more than I want to be. And those are some of the biological things that you may watch for. Now in perimenopause, menopause, I'm noticing again, here we go in my life, that those symptoms are coming in. So I help women in counseling to recognize, are we tracking your cycle? Are we understanding that biologically this could be kicking off some of the increase in your anxiety going on right now? What would you say, Shayla, for psychological?
Psychological, often anxiety shows up in the way that we think, and it can be rigid sort of mindsets, or maybe some harsh beliefs, or, some mental habits that kind of quietly fuel distress. And there's some, examples of, say, a mindset. And one of them is maybe all or nothing thinking. And this type of thinking is that, for example, I have to handle everything perfectly or I've failed, and so that's a really heavy backpack to carry. I feel like that's heavy. And maybe there's other mindsets, like maybe I compare myself a lot, like, oh my gosh, that person is so calm, why can't I be like that? So kind of, I call that the sunshine effect. Sometimes everybody else seems like they're in the sunshine, but I'm under a dark cloud, and that in itself it makes people feel very lonely and isolated, and then anxiety can come on. Negative filter is another one. That one's kind of sneaky. But basically it's like, okay, say 10 things go well, but your brain kind of zooms in on the like one awkward moment, Okay, for example, like you know, Kathy, you did so awesome. And you were like figuring out the tech stuff. But later tonight, if you were like, oh, like, how come I didn't know how to do that? And so, but maybe the rest of the talk went well, but that's a example of mental filter. And definitely, okay, I'm going to mention this one because I think this is a big one. And this is, I think, another little tool people could take away from this, because really being aware of some of these things, Kathy, you would probably agree, in session, we go over these thought patterns, and I typically say, you know what? All we want you to do is just kind of read over these. And as you go through your day, you start noticing them. One is really big, is should. Should. We always joke, we say don't should on yourself. I want to make sure I didn't swear, but it's interesting that should really, so I should be over this by now. I should be stronger. But it's interesting because, life doesn't follow a calendar. I'm okay. We have calendars, but the things that occur in life, they don't follow a calendar. So we're putting all this pressure on ourselves. Like I should be healed from this already, or I should be, and you know what? Maybe having some grace for ourselves, would be good. So, excessive worry also might be sort of, I guess we would call them like mental rehearsals. What if I mess up? What if they think I'm weird? And basically, like, it's this fortune telling, like kind of like anxiety's trying to write the future or predict the future. Um, and of course, I kind of mentioned this, but physical, when people are dealing with physical ailments, symptoms, and that in itself is just very stressful. But I think that, how are we thinking about that? Are we fixated on all the things? Rightly so, because when we're in pain, it's hard to not focus on pain. But then we want to try to challenge that a little bit and say, yes, there's pain. I always call it the yes and. So we're not saying no, ignore your pain. We're saying, yes, we have pain, and you know what? I did go for a little walk today. And I did, you know what? I did have a good lunch today, whatever it is. So those are some ways I think that anxiety shows up in our thought patterns. And I guess I just want to say that these patterns are not flaws. They're just signals, and once we notice them, we can begin to shift them, and this is the shift with the mind body tools that kind of restore a sense of calm and clarity.
I love it. I love it. That's so good. That's so good. When I covered the social causes of anxiety, I want you to think of it as more of triggers, something that presses the button,
Mm-hmm.
something that invokes within you, oh no, now I have fear, apprehension, and worry about situations, whether I'm, again, socially replaying a conversation I just had. Maybe I've got social things coming up that I'm not sure if I meet the expectations of what others, how they judge me, how they evaluate me. So expectations and pressure are the first part of our social triggers. And I'll speak to any of the postpartum women in this group. Even my whole journey throughout motherhood, I feel like there's been expectations or pressure. This can be in our what our shoulds, like Shayla was just talking about. Um, does your mother-in-law think you should do this while you take care of the new baby? Do you feel pressure and expectations if you're returning to the workplace? And oh no, is it going to hurt my baby to feed them and store milk? Or I'm going to be stopping breastfeeding and now I've got a lot of anxiety. Is that the right thing to do? Am I messing this up for my baby? How do I handle this, right? And so those shoulds, those triggers come from a place of, now, is this an expectation that people are actually putting on me, or I'm believing that that's what they think of me, right? I always encourage women, let's go back to your partner and actually directly talk to them instead of trying to read their mind. Unfair comparisons is another part of cognitive behavioral therapy that Shayla started us off on. Unfair comparisons, that social anxiety is very high. Am I working as much as this other woman is? Am I compared to other men in the workplace? Am I supposed to be at a different place in my career? If I'm in the home, should my home have all the perfect Halloween decorations for the month of October? Do I do it perfectly and look like I've got all of it together in life? And those social triggers really speak to that invisible load that women will carry. We don't even realize how much mental chatter we actually are having throughout the day and night, right? As Shayla helps people through their insomnia. If you've been waking up at 3 a.m., and there's a lot of cause and effect to that, according to research. But if you're waking up at 3 a.m. and you're replaying things in your day and your expectations on yourself, where did that long list of expectations come from? Are those pressures things that we can work on in counseling to help you to reduce that? That may not actually be the truth, and that it's something that has become distorted with some time, and that easily we can go back to what is important to you. What are the things that you value? What are the things that you want to reframe and have a new action plan going forward that just completely quiets down all of that mental chatter? Excellent, excellent. So there are these signs of anxiety that we want to bring to your attention. We're going to go over signs of anxiety, and then we're going to jump right to that mind-body tools. So in the signs of anxiety, we've really separated them out into three different categories: emotional signs, mental signs and your physical signs. So let's do an exercise together. This can be something you do quietly. This can be something you can add and share in the chat if you would like to share, and everybody can kind of see. None of us are alone in this. But let's take a moment, and this really, it's just something you can do all throughout your day. I want you to take a peaceful pause. What a peaceful pause looks like is just to put your mind attending to one thing and one thing only. What is typing out across your mind right now? What is it? Is it a thought that I'm sitting here watching an anxiety program because I really want to get a handle on this? I've had enough of feeling so anxious and other people telling me, knock it off, you don't have to feel so anxious. Am I here because it's important to me to be stronger, to be healthier? Am I here? And maybe my mental chatters because I've been embarrassed by my anxiety. I don't think other people are as anxious as I am. And when I really take a peaceful pause, what am I thinking about right now? What's typing out across my thoughts, right? We have up to 60,000 thoughts a day. Is you pay attention to that. And that's putting our phones down sometimes and just taking a peaceful pause. That is stepping into the bathroom and closing the door so all the little people in our house are not on top of us and intrusively stopping our mental chatter. Because if you can check in, what am I thinking about right now? Am I automatically jumping to some kind of conclusion, some kind of worst case scenario, and believing that I'm not going to be able to handle it? Then I can pull that back and rescue myself from that thought and say, stop, 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 right? In my office, and I was going to find it for you guys, but I wasn't able to find it this afternoon. I bought a wooden stop sign and I put it in the office. I said, you know what, ladies, let's make sure that we stop that mental train of thought and say, that's just chatter. That is noise. Those are not all truths. I'm okay. I'm strong enough to handle this. And I want to work every time I have a peaceful pause to be more at peace. Thank you. Thank you for sharing a moment of mindful awareness with me. Let's move to the next piece. Let's take a look at our emotional and mental signs. I'm going to run through these kind of quickly with you because these are the flags. These are the things that if these areas are going on for you, the 7 of them, you go, oh, I didn't even realize that was connected to my anxiety. Excessive worry. Sure, worry is about looking ahead. If you're a planner like I am, a lot of the women that I talk to in counseling at all different stages of their lives are describing, well, I wanted to plan it out. I don't like surprises, right? Anxious adults do not like surprises. If you're raising an anxious child, they hate surprises. they want to have a plan. They want to be in control. And there's our C word, control. But excessive worrying is where we're looping so much that we aren't giving our mind a break to be able to move towards action and solution, right? Number 2 is that irritability. I have an anxiety scale that I hand out in sessions, and it rates you 0 to 10, 10 being that full-blown anxiety, sometimes at a level of panic, where you are just raging. You are just cranky and irritable, and everything that bothered you moved from frustration to anger to rage, right? We want to be aware of those. Those are signs. Maybe perfectionism is a message you were given somewhere in life by others. It may have been someone who raised you. It may have been other siblings that just seem to have it all together compared to you. And so we set this bar really high. And the emotional mental sign is that I'm in this state of anxiety, always trying to meet that expectation. Next is avoidance. Do you ever find yourself like, you know what? I'm not even going to go to that baby shower because she always looks so put together, and I'm big and heavy and pregnant, and I don't want anybody to see my swollen ankles. So I'm just not even going to go to the baby shower. I've got so much anxiety about being judged. I'd rather just avoid it. I don't even want to handle it or deal with it. Right? Fear of losing control. I'm down on the bottom of the list here now. Anxiety and an emotional sign of that is, do I know what my feelings are? Right? We have a feelings wheel handout, and it's good to understand what you are feeling, not just what to think, but also what you feel. And you may be feeling powerless, hopeless, helpless, right? And that puts us definitely onto our worry wheel, that, oh my goodness, look at me, and how terrifying this would be if someone found out about me, and how I think, and how little control I have, and how big my feelings are, right? If you're an HSP, a highly sensitive person, you're very in touch with your feelings, and it's a beautiful gift, but it can really feel like you are in your feelings a lot throughout the day. Or you really feel like you feel everybody else's feelings. You're sort of a sponge and pick that up on everybody else. Difficulty with focus. I've been doing a lot of research on this through perimenopause and menopause. When we talk about mommy brain, or we talk about brain fog, it is real, guys. It doesn't help that we're in a technological world where we have a lot of tabs open at the same time in our mind. They're all open. They're setting off notifications. Look here, fix this, change this, do this. And it's hard to focus. It's hard to remember. It's hard to learn new information. It's hard to remember what I was supposed to buy at the grocery store today. That difficulty of focus is one of your signs. And the last sign that I will share with you under emotional and mental is your restlessness. Do you feel fidgety? Yes, you may feel it with your hands or your hair or your face, you're picking or you're scratching, or you're actually bouncing. You can't even sit down on the couch. The whole family's relaxed. Everybody's ready to unwind for the day. And you're like, let me just do one more thing. And let me just do other thing. There's this adrenal fatigue article that I hand out. And it talks about wired but tired, right? It's like, keep going. I've got to keep going. I'm keep going. But you're sort of this machine that's starting to let smoke come out of your ears. Like, but you're restless. It's an emotional and mental sign. All right, Shayla, share with us our next mindful body awareness.
All right. So thank you so much. That was, I noticed when you did your moment there of peace that is interesting. We were looking for what is my chatter, what's my mental chatter. And what was fascinating is I didn't have any, because there was just wind whistling. But what I did have, what I noticed in that break, um, was physical tension, and I had tension in my chest is where I felt it. And so that's what this part is about. So if we could, let's take another moment here, and I'm just going to be quiet for just a few seconds. And basically, we're going to kind of just observe. And I always say, try to have just a spirit of curiosity. There is no wrong sensation, but just kind of observe. Maybe when I'm quiet, do you feel any tension anywhere? So let's just take a moment and do that. And if you do notice some tension, here's a little tool. This is just a little snippet. You could Google it later if you'd like, but it's called progressive muscle relaxation. So if there was tension somewhere, for me, it was sort of this chest back area. Um, for some people, it may be your shoulders here, your neck. It might be your legs. It really can be anywhere. Um, essentially when you're doing progressive muscle relaxation, what you're doing, you've got some tension in your muscles. And it's very hard. If I were to say chest relax, it just won't do it. It may a little bit, but one of the ways we can help that is to actually tense it. So if you've ever done some little bit of weightlifting or something, you know that your muscles get fatigued. So wherever you had your tension, we're just going to do this for a second. We're just going to try to tense up some muscles around that area, and you kind of hold it. So I'm tensing right now, and I'm kind of holding it. I'm still tensed, and I'm sort of waiting until that moment where I'm feeling a little bit of muscle fatigue, where, it's getting a little warm now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to release that tension and sort of drop your arms or move your legs back to where they were, your neck, and take a nice deep breath. And that's sort of this idea of, because we do hold anxiety, our body holds anxiety. And so that can really help. What we're doing when we're doing that is there's the nervous system, and essentially it's kind of got this on switch and this off switch. And the on switch is the sympathetic nervous system. This is when we're activated, when we're anxious, but when we are dropping down, I call it dropping down into the body. When we drop into the body in a more relaxed state, we're activating the parasympathetic nervous system. And essentially, when we do that, we're sending a signal to the brain, oh, I guess it's not that. There's nothing harmful happening in this moment. I'm not in danger, and I am safe. So it's interesting because um, our body, it doesn't really speak in words, right? It speaks in physical sensations. And that anxiety part of the brain speaks very much in thought and physical sensation. So what Kathy was describing earlier, we can do some of these strategies for our thoughts. And then if we add in, let me talk to my body, how my body hears. And this is how your body hears, because you are speaking the language of the calming part of the nervous system. So that's kind of the idea of, how do we, you know, there are also signs, I guess, two physical signs. Shall I get into that, Kathy,
Yeah,
the physical
perfect.
signs? So it's fascinating. Let's go back to the amygdala, the part of the brain where anxiety comes from, and it's there to protect you. It's got the button, I'm gonna ring it. Better safe than sorry. Well, it's amazing. Really, I hope if you all leave today, if there's one thing that you take away, it is how amazing your body is. So when that button gets pushed, your body is sending enough energy through you that it could save your life, which is absolutely amazing. All these physiological things start happening, right? So now what's interesting is when most people are complaining of symptoms of anxiety, it is because they're having these symptoms, but there's nothing chasing them. And thank goodness nothing is chasing you. But the symptoms then become very uncomfortable because they seem to, well, why are they here? They're coming out of nowhere. But one of the ways, again, little tip for you to take away, one of the ways we can start to rethink about how do we think about those symptoms. So we think, wow, my body is producing enough anxiety or enough energy right now that it could save my life. I know I'm not in danger right now, so this is uncomfortable. So it's interesting. People will feel symptoms like increased heart rate. They will feel rapid breathing. muscle tension. Now it's interesting, think about those things. Let's pretend, so the reason for our anxiety we know is for safety and survival. So if I'm walking along and there was a tiger that I saw, my heart rate would go up immediately. I would start breathing very fast. All my muscles would get tense. And the reason for that is even before I take my first step of running, it's ready. It's getting oxygen going. It's getting my muscles prepared. It's amazing. It's got the blood pumping. Um, and so it is uncomfortable when there's nothing chasing us. But one of the things I love sharing is that it's not harmful. Like it's an alarm system that's going off at an inappropriate time for the situation. Some other physical symptoms that can happen when I worked in the anxiety programs, this was fascinating to me when I learned this early on, is that our digestion slows down. We can also often have stomach aches, nausea, sometimes constipation, diarrhea, um, and it's fascinating. I mean, it really is fascinating that my old boss who ran the program said the reason is if you're about to become that tiger's lunch, you don't need to digest your lunch. And so what the body does is it slows digestion down, and it's taking all that energy that you were using to digest your food and it's putting it elsewhere because it thinks you're going to have to run, or save your life. It can cause, sometimes people do feel, understandably, when we have anxiety, we feel fatigued. And that is because there is a huge energy expenditure going on. And we are in this heightened state of alert. And then sometimes we can also get headaches, sometimes dizziness, feeling lightheaded or tension headaches. So some of these tools that we're doing now, the one Kathy did, and then the one that I did, actually, these can help enormously for things like tension headaches or, symptoms because you are dropping down into the body and yeah, you're activating that calming part of the nervous system.
That's it. That's it. Yes. Yes. Very good. Very good. Well, I'm watching the clock. We're gonna keep going with this. If you need to step away as we get closer to 8:30, we completely understand. We want to respect your time. We're gonna keep going with the tools. Again, this is being recorded. It will be back up on the findyourtranquility.com /events page if you need to get going. All right, so let's go into our taking action portion of this. This is where we want to give you real techniques that now that you've kind of paid attention to, what are some of my causes or triggers to my anxiety? What are the emotional, mental, and physical signs that I may be experiencing and knowing, oh, those are all actually part of anxiety? But what can I do about it? Taking actions. We're going to give you mind-body tools to find your tranquility. We certainly believe in a mind-body-spirit connection. We feel that it is not, you can't heal one area and ignore the others. They usually push their way up to the top to say, hey, 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 pay attention to me too. But women that we have seen make incredible progress in their lives, it's because they worked on the whole person. They are aware, they are now acknowledging what's going on and making really good positive changes every single day in not just one area of the mind or just one area of the body, but the mind-body connection. All right, we're going to go through this. This is our slide for you to see all of the different areas that we're going to talk about. Shayla and I will bounce back and forth as we describe them and give you some examples. I'm going to start with mindfulness. Mindfulness is just this beautiful experience, and we wanted to do 2 mindful activities with you today, just so you can start practicing and seeing right there the evidence yourself as to what happens when we slow down and soften. right? We can be very, very tense, and the body's responding to that, thinking, oh, you're tense. See, something must be wrong. Something must be dangerous around you. And so mindfulness is an activity. It's a paying attention to what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what you need. And some people call it what you need, or they say your body sensations. I read both. But when I do it for myself, or I do it with my clients, I've even been teaching my kids how to do mindfulness, right? Before a test, before a big game. Are you just quieting down for a moment and centering yourself in taking a look at, what am I thinking about right now? Is it slanted negatively or positively? Am I feeling a lot of big feelings and I just need to say those out loud to somebody that I trust? And then what do I need? As a mom right now, I can forget that did I eat today? I forgot lunch. Oh my gosh. So maybe just even meeting some of my body's needs, rest, quiet space, touch for a few minutes. I'll be in the car and turn off the radio and just have a mindful moment there as well. All right, how about some movement?
Yeah, well, movement helps release tension, regulate the nervous system, and reconnect you with your body. And even small motions can shift your state, So walks are a great one. And walk doesn't have to be long. It could even be walking around your house, just moving. And it's basically telling your body, we're not stuck, we're moving. Pounce. This is a fun one. I love pounce. Think of a cat that pounces. It's kind of a playful, it's like a cat springing into action. It could be a quick jump, a little bounce, or a shake. Animals do this. Anybody have a dog there that their shaking is part of regulating their nervous system. Yoga is amazing. You don't need anything fancy to do it. And you could even just do child's pose, just that stretching and that gentle forward fold can really feel kind of like a hug, and may pronounce qigong, or some of the which is the slow flowing movement paired with breath. And it's like moving meditation. And that is wonderful for a lot of people. So that can
I
really
love
help.
it.
Yeah. Do I go on to thought patterns?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
here we go.
all right? Well, as we were saying earlier, anxiety can distort our thought patterns. But with practice, we really can notice and increase our awareness of these patterns. So, the first step is recognizing your feelings. Kathy, you mentioned that earlier. Start by naming them. I feel overwhelmed. I, I, I'm scared I'm going to mess up. And naming it doesn't make it worse. It kind of makes it manageable, because if something's kind of really mysterious, I think that is what often scares us more. So naming it can help. You mentioned CBT, thought stoppage, which is like picturing a stop sign in your mind when anxiety thoughts start to spiral. And you can say, you know what, just not right now. Now's not the time. And then with something we call reframing, which is basically changing the thought once you recognize it's not helpful. So instead of I'm never going to get through this, maybe I say something like this is really hard, but I've handled hard things before. And then we also have a positive mental attitude, which is at the bottom of the graph there. And I think what's interesting about this is cultivating positivity doesn't mean that you're ignoring your pain. It just means that you're choosing gratitude or choosing hope, even in small doses. So it's not about ignoring your pain or dismissing it. So, like gratitude, you could name 3 things that made today easier for you. Um, Hopeful things might be like, these are a hopeful belief might be like, you know what, I'm allowed to grow slowly. I don't have to be perfect. And then positive psychology is another way to have a positive mental attitude. And this is really the science of what helps humans thrive. Things like, connection, purpose, and strengths. So it's really fuel. It gets, it kind of can fuel you forward.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. I was just working with a woman through her cancer journey, and absolutely, if she can choose every day to think about how many things feel uncomfortable, or she can choose to say, I recognize those things, but I'm not going to put my full attention to them. I'm going to have a positive mental attitude. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so nature is our next mind-body tool, and I think it's overlooked. I think, living in Central Florida now, I have just adored how much, every morning the sun comes up, the beauty, the greenery, the opportunity to be outdoors. And science agrees. It says it is exactly what heals us. There have been studies done with individuals going on nature retreats to reduce their heart rate, right? If heart rate's a part of your anxiety, you may need to be outdoors to let that greenery, that environment, the chirping of the birds, the smells, let all five of your senses really just take in how everything around you is moving in progression. Sometimes with anxiety, we get too many steps ahead. But what about this? Well, what if this? Well, what if that? And I want you to pause on your nature walk and pick a plant, any plant, some little tree, some little bush, some little weed. And I want you to see it's bigger and growing than it was yesterday, but it's not worried how big it is compared to the other plants. It's naturally doing and moving at its own progression, and it will continue on until its end of its cycle. So this is where sometimes as anxious thinkers, we need nature to remind us to come back to just the beauty around us. I'll say a prayer while I'm walking, being out in nature and in awe. I don't know. So I take Bruce B. Downs to come here to the office. I don't know if any of you saw the rainbow that was out there tonight. Absolutely stunning, right? And I just thank you, God, for just this beauty and this moment. And cars kind of stopping and looking. It's like, oh God, you know how Bruce B. Downs is. So it's kind of like, oh my gosh. But just the beauty of it and being able to allow that to biophysically calm my whole system down, like Shayla was talking about the parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest system. Oh, look at this. It's so beautiful. That's why on vacation, we're as calm as can be. Well, okay, the first few days are a little hairy getting the kids settled, but once we're relaxed on vacation, we're in nature. We have allowed ourselves to take in the environment. And lastly is our healthy relationships as part of mind body, right? We're connecting the two. If I'm overthinking what those around me feel about me, think about me, judge me, where I stand with them, how is the quality of our relationship, that can be almost too much analysis. And so I really want to pour myself into those people that fuel me. I leave that lunch with that friend and I am energized. She has really gotten me looking at how good things are and how I can cope with them and what I'm going to try next and what I'm going to do at work or at home or in my community or my church. Yes, that's what I want to try. And so healthy relationships means that I'm not moving towards those that I feel that toxicity with, because that can be very draining and keeping us on our worry wheel. So healthy relationships help us to say, you know what? Let's go for a walk. Let's go unwind. It's okay to have the evening off. I love a friend that says, Kathy, it's okay you didn't text me right back. I know that you're busy. That's a healthy friend. She recognizes my boundaries. She recognizes that I just turned my phone off. It was the end of the day. I was tired, and I get to have those limits and recognize that the friendship hasn't changed just because I didn't write you right back, right? Healthy relationships also means on social media, you have to pick and choose. Who am I following? Am I getting stirred up every time I read what they post? I have to decide if that's a limit that I create in my life and a boundary that I'm able to do. You don't even have to unfollow them. You can just go into, say, Facebook or Instagram and just put, see less of these posts or see less from this individual, from this profile. And that can then free you from, great, I am not being put back into that loop over and over again. So ladies, thank you for joining us. What's your one step? Right? What did you take away from this today? Put it down in the chat. What is the one thing that you feel like, you know what? I can do this. I think I can move and make tomorrow, Friday, a little bit better than today, Thursday. And I'm just going to do one thing. I think we can get overwhelmed. And as women, we can be overachievers. We say, oh, I listened to this event on anxiety and now I'm going to change 10 things. And then we burn out and we've only done it for 5 to 7 days and we're not keeping with it to create a real habit. So I'd love to hear what you're going to do for your one thing. We hope that you are able to find tranquility. When I named the business in 2018, it was because that was my wish for myself and all of the women that I work with, all the women that I love in my family and friends, feeling this place where finally I'm not in distress. I'm not feeling physical or emotional pain. I notice that within myself, I've reached this place of inner peace and contentment. And that is certainly, ladies, going to lead us to a lot of happiness. And I have found for myself, and if you have had moments like this, where the more that you have peace, that's contagious in your household. That whoever you live with, that whatever generations you're taking care of, your parents, your children, your neighbor, people through your work, maybe you're a teacher or a clinician or a therapist yourself, finding that place where you can be relaxed. Relaxing your mind is going to be the best gift that you can give yourself today. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Catherine Gardner. This is Shayla Parker. We are part of Find Your Tranquility Counseling and Wellness. Our website is findyourtranquility.com. We'd really like to thank Dr. Ashby and her amazing team. Talk to them some more in your appointments about what you are experiencing in anxiety, and they can help you to go back to these very tools. If therapy is something you have been wanting to do, Shayla shared with you, we do a lot of brief therapy, 6 to 12 session models, where we walk you through how to help you get up out of your symptoms in a way that is clinically and evidence-based. We have in person. I'm here in the office in Tampa on Cross Creek Boulevard, but Shayla and I both see women through telehealth, and our schedule, we'll go through that with you. We also have blog articles. Shayla just wrote an amazing blog article this week on mystery illness and what happens when you're in an appointment and you want to express yourself and you're trying to figure out yourself. What are your symptoms? Is it just anxiety, or is it more of what you have been seeing in signs and symptoms in your body, and you're trying to string it together to understand it yourself? Our newsletter at the bottom of findyourtranquility.com, we have a newsletter. We'd love you to sign up. Again, if you're here with us live or you are watching this recorded, we post newsletters about twice a month, just some helpful tips, more suggestions. We're both on Facebook and Instagram. I've got a YouTube channel. All of those social media handles can be found on the Our Team page of our findyourtranquility.com. And there's our phone number and email address. Did I miss anything, Shayla? Did I say all the good things that we're doing right now?
That was amazing. I don't think you missed anything. And I just want to say thank you all so much. It was so nice to be here. I'm just so glad that everyone came tonight.
Yes. Thank you. I love it. Thank you for all of your time in the comments, the chats. I'm loving this. Listening to yourself, listening to your body, taking pause. That's going to do wonders. You're going to see it. I love it. Practicing gratefulness. Thank you all for being here. It has been an amazing evening. We hope that this has just, again, given you a little bit more empowerment. We are encouraging you. We're right on the journey with you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Any questions, put them in the chat. You can raise your hand. We'll stay around. If you have to head out, we understand.
Yeah, I see a lot of great
I love
steps
these.
here. Deep
Yes.
breaths and pauses, peaceful pause, more walks, practice gratitude.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah, fascinating. This comment, I was not prepared for perimenopause, so I appreciate the
right.
counsel.
Ah,
Why is that? What, I entered I didn't even, I was like, how did no one warned me. No one warned me of this.
right.
I feel like people should be screaming from the rooftops. This is what happens, but
Yes, yes. I think
yeah.
there is an actual article, like, you're not crazy. It's it's real. It's
My
you
goodness.
really are noticing these things. And I think that's what I love about my mindfulness practice is that, oh my goodness, I'm paying more attention. Again, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? What do I need? And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I ache. I have joint pain and aches that I have not been leaning into. Like, I am going to go swim some laps and
Mhm.
get in the pool and just like release this. I could feel it, but I was just
Yeah.
going and moving and doing and, juggling all the things. And I was like,
Mhm.
no, stop and pay attention.
Yeah. What was the book, Kathy? You were recently telling me there was a great book, right? On perimenopause and menopause. Am I imagining that?
The
Or was it
Pause, yes.
the pause?
Mary Claire Haver. I'm sure the practitioners on here are very familiar with her. She is an OBGYN herself. She's all over Instagram, YouTube, Mary Claire Haver. And she herself, she's in her mid 50s at this point, but she started to have these symptoms and she says, I'm a trained OBGYN. How did I not know what these things
Mhm.
were? It just led her to really take on this mission in this path of, I really want to learn more. And so I follow her and I really admire her evidence-based information that she shares. It's
Yeah.
not just, oh, well, because some of the blogs I have found sadly are just like personal experiences. And that's great. That can make me feel like I'm not alone through perimenopause. But I really do
Mhm.
want the knowledge and from somebody highly trained. And
Yeah.
she can talk to like what are some of the myths out there, and but the pause is
Mhm.
the name of her material. Yes,
Nice.
yes. Any other questions, please? We're here. There's anything else that we can answer for you? Again, I'll put this up live, the recorded video for you. I'll put it up on the website. If you missed any part of it, had to step away, no problem. Ah, yes. Okay. Do you see the question that came in? That's excellent. Do you have advice, is the question, how to use social media in a way that helps and not worsens anxiety? Do you know? Okay, so I'll tell you what I say when this comes up, and then Shayla, you can certainly jump in. This is about noticing your sign of anxiety, because so many women will start pulling. I mean, what's in our feed. Okay, don't even get me started on the algorithms, but I open up one thing about how to put up a barn door, and you would not even imagine how many things started to show up in my feed about country living and barn doors, and I was like, where did this all come from? Okay, anyway. So yes, what we search does create what is going to appear in our 30-day algorithms. But when you are on social media, if that's your downtime, you're trying to do something mindless, you're passing the time in the car line, or you're sitting on the couch, or you're in between meetings, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to jump onto social media. Be aware of what we described as emotional, mental, and physical signs. Be aware that, did you just open up an article that's about top headlines and, oh, there goes that tension in your shoulders. Ooh, there goes that knot in your stomach. There goes the dryness in your mouth. Now you're starting to get the temples to hurt and a headache is starting to come on. those signs are indicating to you your body's uncomfortable with something, and it's picking up on physical danger, emotional danger. So what I talk about is that you may have to step away from that. And again, sometimes there are just certain influencers that I go, okay, I've got to put you on pause. I can't keep following you. You're very strong-minded, and that's been intense for me. Or certain people in my circle, even. Okay, whoa, that's a lot of things that they keep harping on, and I don't need to be influenced by that. So instead of worsening anxiety, do I need to go to a feed that is like my blue therapy feeds? Talking about the ocean, talking about the therapeutic levels of scuba diving, being on water, on water, underwater, or near water. That on my feed, I know that calms me when I'm looking at the sea turtle gently gliding through the water, the beautiful fish swimming around it. That on my feed, I know is literally biophysically relaxing me. What would you say, Shayla, about social media?
Yeah, I totally agree with all of that. And also I think I would say something that is helpful is maybe to remind ourselves that we are human first, and that we don't there's no have to. So you're human, and you have opinions, and you have beliefs, and that's wonderful. I think sometimes we feel pressure. Maybe we feel pressure. And I'm going to use some of these phrases that we point out sometimes in counseling. It's like, do I need to comment on this? Do I need to take a stand on this? Do I have to? And I would say the peaceful pause and come back to that. You're a human, and you have beliefs and opinions, but you know what? They are yours, and that means you control. You don't have to follow maybe somebody else may say. Maybe you don't feel comfortable sharing certain opinion. Kathy was saying, listen to that. Listen to that. That doesn't mean that you don't care about things. It doesn't mean that you don't have strong beliefs. It means that you're protecting your boundaries. And it means that, you just don't feel comfortable with that. And I think to be okay with that, say that's okay. Like I'm human. I have that right. I think sometimes there's pressure. That's what I get the sense of. I was seeing someone recently, and they said, I feel pressure. I feel badly, when all these things going on in the world, and it affects me, obviously. But I feel like I don't say things on social media. And we were talking about how that's okay, because she was dealing with things in a different way. So that would be my suggestion, I guess, too, is just listening to yourself and knowing that's okay. Whatever, if you feel like sharing, great. And you really want to share, wonderful. If you don't, I think sometimes people feel bad, for not sharing their opinion about something. And it was fascinating because it's happened a few times recently in sessions. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so good, so good. All right, next question came in. Excellent question. All right, so my doctor recommended that I take a prescription medication for the symptoms I'm experiencing with perimenopause, but I'm not really comfortable about taking medication. Is there more natural remedies that you would recommend? And also, what are your thoughts on medication for symptoms of anxiety and depression? Yes, 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 yes. So as I shared, Shayla and I started working together in the hospital setting outside of Chicago. And then, what was it, 4 or 5 years later, we met up again in working together for a psychiatrist practice. So we worked right alongside prescribers, and both of us, and we are very collaborative. We love working with all different medical providers because we feel like it's again, a whole team that works together. So my answer is, and I get this question a lot because a lot of women, oh, they've heard stories, or oh, it harmed this friend told me this negative thing, and they felt harmed instead of helped. It is an individual decision, first and foremost, right? It's like any medical decision. what you choose to do has to be something that you feel most comfortable with. The second thing is to get as much true education on it from your provider. Shayla and I both are so blessed that we have an entire list of natural remedies. We love trying that first. Let's use everything that we can to understand the way that the body is naturally wired to reduce your symptoms, alleviate the distress that you're in, first and foremost, naturally. What happens from there is then we work together with you and your prescriber to discuss together, how is this going? Is this weeks and you're still stuck and the symptoms are not abating? You're not feeling any better. And it's really now starting to affect personal and professional and relational and all these different other areas. So now is then the time to look at, all right, well, why don't you do a consultation with the prescriber? And whether that is your OBGYN, your primary care doctor, a psychiatrist you've had in the past, a midwife, let's talk together. What are they suggesting? Are they suggesting something that is taken? Because there's two different types of psychotropic medications. There's some that you're going to take every day on a regular basis, but there are some that you're going to take as needed. So what are they suggesting based on their medical assessment of you, based on what the results were from the natural remedies, what worked, what didn't work? Shayla knows all about the disruption when you're not well rested. Not getting enough sleep has a terrible ripple effect on the whole person and their entire life. So what needs to be resolved is something, again, the whole team works together. And there are some wonderful, thank God it's the year 2025. We have come a long way with psychotropic medications, and some great medications are on the market that have less and less side effects and can be used for short-term use. This is not for the rest of your life. And so that is also then an individual assessment, what's best, what's right, and what do you feel like is going to bring you back to your highest functioning. What would you add into that, Shayla?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with all of that. I would say, yeah, I'm rereading the question here too. I have seen, I'm just in over 20 years of, I have seen medication greatly help people. I've also seen people not have much of an effect from medication. And I've also seen people have some, well, I actually didn't like how that made me feel. I mean, I'm just giving an honest. So it's interesting. It's so individual. So exactly what Kathy's saying. I also, it's interesting. A client I have, she's working on her sleep, and was fascinating. The sleep therapy that I do is very focused on cognitive behavioral therapy, which is some of what we talked about tonight. Your thought patterns. What do you do with thoughts? Even how we think about thoughts, our body, how do we do relaxation? It's funny. I don't know why I'm still surprised. I think because we're in a culture where often, of course, like medication is sometimes a first, it's the first thing. But I was just so amazed. She's sleeping so much better. And she said, I'm applying those things throughout my day, and I'm really hardly rattled. I'm just not rattled as much. My mood is better. And she's not taking anything. She's just literally practicing. So I would just say, yeah, exactly what Kathy was saying. I think it depends, really important. Um, Check in with yourself and see what feels right to you. And you know what? That could be your first step. That's your first step, and you can always go to different steps, but what kind of resonates with you is very important, because that's what you're going to feel most comfortable with starting with.
Yeah, I love it. And then we help in counseling. Our part on the team is then to help you 6 weeks onto the medication, 12 weeks on the medication. Like, do you know what you're feeling? Because your self-report is what you bring back to the doctor, right?
Mhm.
That's what you share as to what's better, worse, or the same. And so helping in a counseling session to help that individual to even speak that, so that then
Mhm.
the prescriber can make adjustments or make changes or say, okay, well, let's get this until we reach symptom free. And that's
Yeah.
we're all aiming for that. We're all aiming for that. Very good. Very
Right.
good. Any last questions? We're going to close this up. All right. Well, we thank you so much for being with us. Again, big thank you to Dr. Ashby and her team at Gentle Hands OBGYN, an amazing practice that y'all are part of. You're great, be grateful right there that you have clinicians around you that understand you as a whole person, and looking to bring you to your best well-being. Thank you so much. Reach out to us. Any questions, any ways that we can help you, we are here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.